Los Angeles. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip Bayless, Shannon Sharp. Good morning.
Oh, God, when you bang the table, you taking an L today.
Yeah.
You can bang the table all
Guess
you want
what?
to.
A little later today in this show, you're going to have your partner in crime come in. You're going to have the ultimate backup because I believe Lil Wayne hates the Dallas Cowboys even more than you do.
Skip,
I don't know how.
I don't know why. Since when did telling the truth become hate?
Yeah.
Is that a new? Is that a millennial thing or something? That's something that happened like in the late 2000s.
Now you're so warped with your cowboy hate, you actually think it's truth that you're spewing. It's pure hate.
Okay, have you won a Super Bowl in the last quarter century?
Almost.
Okay.
Almost? So close. We've got a lot to get to on today's show. Is Tom Brady ever going to retire?
Nope.
And could the Packers actually get rid of Aaron Rodgers?
Yep.
Skip mentioned it. Lil Wayne will be here live in studio with us later. I am looking forward to it. But we got to start with Dak Prescott. He's waiting to get paid like one of the elite quarterbacks in the league. Dak has led the Cowboys to the playoffs twice in his first 3 seasons, but he's also under a huge microscope playing in Dallas. Cowboys legend Michael Irvin gave Dak high praise when he compared him to 2 of the best quarterbacks of all time. Irvin said this: people don't appreciate the charisma as a talent and gift.
Yep.
It's got to be the greatest talent in this business. We don't count. This
Read
is
that,
why
Jenny.
Tom Brady
Read it.
has 6
Preach it.
rings.
Thank
Rarely,
you.
rarely do you
Thank
get the
you.
heart and soul of the football team at
Yes.
the quarterback position.
Yes.
Dak Prescott has that in him. I tell people, stop it. Stop being a dummy here. It's the ultimate gift a quarterback could have, especially in a world where the quarterback is so isolated and put on a pedestal. Aaron Rodgers should have more titles, but the problem is the dramatic and dynamic.
Yes.
You can't win with all the time. For Dak to understand that I have to toe this line. I need to play the game steady Eddie, steady Eddie, until I have to be the dynamic and dramatic.
Yes.
What he just said is why Tom Brady has 6 Super Bowls
Yes.
and Aaron has 1.
Jenny Taft's greatest read in the history of
I'm
Undisputed.
feeling good. I got that one
Beautiful.
done. Thank you.
Bingo.
I tried to get it.
Thank you, God.
I knew you were liking it.
Yes.
Thank you very much. But we will start with Shannon. Is there any truth to what was just
You know,
said?
I had a long conversation with Mike Irvin on Saturday.
Yeah.
And I've asked him on several occasions, stop coming out with these bull jive when it
have
comes
you?
to your Cowboys.
Oh, so
man.
it's bull jive.
Yeah, man. You know Michael Homer, Skip Bayless. The biggest, only he loves the Cowboys more than you do. Skip, look, there is some truth to what Mike is saying. Do I believe that Dak's leadership style is more reflective of Tom Brady than Aaron Rodgers? I absolutely do. But for me, Skip, and Dak is a good leader, but for me, the real test of Dak's leadership skills will come when what? He wins a Super Bowl. He wins an MVP. Therein lies when you see, because you'll learn a lot about a person when they get power. Right now, he's on a, Skip, you know the world changes. If you play the quarterback position and you win a world title in the game of football, your life changes. People view you different. I'm not so sure Dak's not going to view himself differently. So that would be the true test for me. If he could get to win a Super Bowl, Lord forbid he becomes the Super Bowl MVP and win a regular season MVP, now I'm going to see how his leadership, will he remain the same? And I think that's one of the greatest tests of Tom Brady's. Yeah, he's a great leader, but it seems to me that he has gone unchanged as far as his teammates goes. 6 Super Bowls, the 4 MVPs, all the accolades. He seems to be the same still, as everybody calls him, Tommy. He seems to be the same guy. And I think that goes a long way because, you know, you want guys to, even though the quarterback is very important, Skip, yeah, for a lot of times he's the best player. He gets certain privileges, but you never want him to take advantage of that. Tom Brady seems to be a normal guy that wants to hang with the guys and doesn't put himself in front of the team. I'm not so sure the guy in Lambeau is always like that. I think a lot of times that he wants what is best for Aaron, and if it's not the best for the Packers or anyone else, so be it. But as long as Aaron's comfortable, okay, we should be good with that. But I'm going to push back on Mike on this notion. I'm not so sure that the main reason that Aaron Rodgers does not have 6 Super Bowl rings is because of his leadership style. I think a lot of that has to do with coaching, and a lot of that has to do with his defense. Skip, did you know in Aaron Rodgers' career in Green Bay, twice has he had a top 10 defense? One of those times, he went to and won the Super Bowl. Did you know that Tom Brady in 19 years, he's going into his 20th season, 15 of those 19 years, Jenny, he had a top 10 defense. If I'm not mistaken, all of those come in which he went to the Super Bowl. But I don't even know why I brought that up.
Who had a better defense last year, Rams or Patriots?
That's just not a Rams subject. Why are we talking about the Rams?
Because Tom Brady faced the toughest defense in the league.
No.
He beat
Hold
him.
on. Was Tom? Hold on. I just want to make sure I'm hearing you correctly. Was the Rams defense playing with Tom Brady, or were they playing against him?
Yeah.
Okay, then. All I'm saying is that what Aaron Rodgers has backing him up, as opposed to what Tom Brady has had backing him up throughout his career, Tom Brady has had the better defenses. He's had the better coaches. That's fact. That's not conjecture. So with all that being said, does Dak Prescott leadership style reminds me more of Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers? I will say Tom Brady. Do I believe Aaron Rodgers' leadership style is the sole reason he doesn't have more Super Bowl rings? This is where I push back on Michael Irvin.
You know, I think early in your opening soliloquy, I heard you acknowledge Dak Prescott is going to win a Super Bowl. I think you said that. Let's see what happens. Let's see how he reacts after he wins a Super Bowl. I think you're acknowledging
if I'm not mistaken,
that it's a given that he is going to win a Super Bowl.
If I'm not mistaken, I said let's see if and when he can get to.
Let's see how he handles win. I heard it. It's okay. It's okay.
Okay, make your point.
Boy, I got a lot of points because when I read this, you want to talk about music to my ears.
Of course.
You want to talk about me just sitting in my chair in my little house that's way down the hill from your big house up in Bel Air.
Whatever.
And just sitting back in my chair saying, I just died and went to cowboy heaven. Thank you, Michael Irvin, for making all the points that for 3 long years I've tried to get through that thick head of yours.
I've never argued that he's not a great leader.
Let's go deeper.
A good
than
leader,
that.
great.
Yeah, great leader.
Good.
There you go.
Okay. Here's the point. It takes a great leader to know a great leader. What have I always told you about Michael Irvin? Why have I made the case he, to me, is the greatest wide receiver who ever played? Because he's the only wide receiver who was the heart and soul of the Cowboy dynasty of the 90s.
Yes.
The only wide receiver in the history of football who led a football team to multiple championships. Trust me, I covered the team. He was the difference maker. He was the one I always said, I want him in my foxhole in New York and Philly and Washington in December or January. Michael Irvin gets what Dak Prescott is made of because he's talking about charisma. He's talking about spark. He's talking about whatever that intangible is that makes the whole football team go that Michael had. And I loved it that the opening quote in this story by Jory Epstein of USA Today is from Jerry saying that charisma is underestimated, that you tend to say, well, if you have charisma, that means you're an overachiever. You don't really have talent. And Jerry's point is, Michael had huge talent. He was the 11th overall pick.
Yeah.
I thought, again, he wasn't a blazer. He ran 4.5, but could he run by people when it was time to run under touchdown passes? Yes, he could.
Oh, so Jerry said he has charisma and he's this and that, but he's willing to make him play on a prove-it deal. So much for charisma.
Just watch what happens. You don't think he's going to get his deal? You want to bet on it? You want to bet on it? I dare you to bet it.
I'm sorry.
Every day, I dare you to bet on it.
I'm sorry. I interrupted you. You were making great points.
No,
I apologize.
I'm not making good points. I'm closing the case. Because here's Michael Irvin. Aaron should have more titles. I think we all agree with that.
Okay.
But the problem is, and he's using dramatic as a noun, which I've never heard before, but it's like a dynamic or dramatic. It's drama.
It's drama.
There's too much drama with Aaron Rodgers. Why have I always compared Aaron Rodgers to LeBron James, the drama king in all sports? They're not both goats. They're both victims of your overreaction because you see one spectacular play and you say, that's transcendent. He's the greatest thrower of the football ever. Can he lead a team to a championship? Can LeBron lead a team to a championship under duress? No.
3 times he's done it.
Yeah, and he's lost 6 times.
Oh,
So the point is that Tom Brady has that it factor that lifts a whole franchise where he's the heart and soul of the Patriots. It's not anybody on defense. It's not Bill Belichick. It's Tom Brady. And what have I told you from year number 1 with Dak Prescott? He is Brady-esque. What do they have in common? Both are later round picks. Tom 6th, Dak 4th. They have chips on shoulder. They're fighting with an underdog mentality that Aaron Rodgers and LeBron don't have. They're divas. They're the king. LeBron's still tweeting king emojis like he's the king of what?
He is the king.
What is he the king of? I don't know.
How you gonna say a man? How you gonna say a man
got
born
deposed last year?
How can you say a man that's born to a single mother as a teenager that grew up like he grew up can't handle stress or can't play up under duress?
Boy, I've seen a bunch of times when he runs from that late game free throw line, but that's okay. So I love the analogy that Michael used. What Dak is, you got to be steady Eddie through the football game because your team has to stay on balance. Because if you overreact, if you throw a fit or a tantrum or do what LeBron did at the end of game 1 of the finals 2 years ago when he just gave up and goes and sits away from the team, like, do you think Tom Brady would ever do? No. Do you think Dak Prescott?
No, he just leave out that Tyconn Underwood.
Oh, so
or he got into it with Josh McDaniels.
The guy who got cut the next week.
What about him getting into it with Josh McDaniels?
Josh McDaniels walked on the field and tried to show him up.
Oh, you see what we're making